It had been 12 long, agonizing years since I last heard the comforting clink of silverware mingling harmoniously with the echoes of laughter that once filled the air around our family's grand dining table. Time seemed suspended in the air, haunted by memories that flickered like fragile candle flames in the warm embrace of nostalgia. Now, as I stood in my expansive estate, the undeniable opulence piercing through the gentle glow of the setting sun, I gazed out over the shimmering waters of Palm Beach. Wave after wave rolled and crashed against the shore, each one seeming to taunt me with the stark reality of my situation, while a corrosive realization settled heavy in my heart. This time, the lavish table was set to accommodate everyone in the family, everyone but me. The family I had devoted years of sacrifice to, the one I believed would cherish and uphold the legacy we had built together. Somehow I had become an outsider in my own dynasty, a mere shadow lurking in the corners of what was once a vibrant tableau of togetherness. It was a tormenting irony, one I had fought against every day. Born into a lineage steeped in wealth, privilege, and a beautifully oppressive weave of high expectations, I was supposed to be the crown jewel of our family, the output of dreams meticulously constructed on the steadfast backs of generations of labor, sweat, and unwavering dedication. My grandfather, a pioneering soul, forged our family's fortune in the treacherous depths of the shipping industry. With relentless grit, unyielding determination, and a visionary eye, he amassed billions, laying the groundwork for a dynasty that sparkled and glittered through the decades like a beacon of excellence. Following his trail, my parents seized opportunities in real estate, expanding our family's holdings beyond towering skyscrapers in the bustling streets of New York to lush, sprawling luxury resorts nestled in the sun-kissed Caribbean islands, where azure waves danced rhythmically in the breeze. Ours was a legacy crafted in gold and marble. Yet here I stood, surrounded by the hallmarks of success, utterly isolated, feeling more akin to the proverbial black sheep than the cherished daughter I longed to be. Despite the golden trappings of my existence, I often found myself feeling like a ghost haunting the exquisite halls of my own home. The joyful laughter of my siblings reverberated around me like a distant melody, but it rang, hollow and distant, like echoes bouncing off the cold stones of a forsaken castle, once a sanctuary, now just a mausoleum of shared history. My personal achievements, though significant in their own right, dimmed in swift comparison to my family's outsized expectations. They looked at me with both admiration and a flicker of disdain, as if I were a flickering candle, shining yet unstable, a light veiled over a brewing storm of unresolved tension and suppressed resentment. In my relentless pursuit to carve out a semblance of my own identity amidst the looming shadows of the family legacy, I found myself stepping into the role of CEO at my own investment firm. I meticulously orchestrated shrewd investments in cutting-edge technology and luxury goods, propelling my portfolio to an impressive valuation of over $3 billion. I was revered in elite circles, my name becoming synonymous with power and influence. Yet this meticulously constructed facade masked a cavernous void deep inside me. Beneath the glimmering surface of my accomplishments, tensions bubbled and festered within my family, each whispered judgment laden with scorn, and each silent dismissal following me like shadows cast by the relentless sun. I was caught in a storm, one that brewed ominously within the opulent walls of our familial abode, with each member playing their tragic part in this grotesque theater of betrayal and disdain. Then, the pivotal moment of reckoning arrived, when, after much deliberation, I courageously opted to step back from our vast family business. My desire was simple yet profound, to carve a path that was uniquely mine, to showcase my worth stripped of the burdens linked to our illustrious last name. But to my family, particularly my siblings, my decision was interpreted as a direct affront, an act of rebellion against the meticulously curated family legacy we had built together through blood, sweat, and tears. The rift that formed between us expanded wider than the Atlantic Ocean, an insurmountable chasm birthed from love that had turned sour and affection that twisted slowly into resentment, hardening like cement as time went on. Months slipped by since I claimed my independence, and a single fateful stumble led me to a sinister document that threatened to unravel the intricate facade of my family. Buried deep within mountains of meticulously organized papers in the most inconspicuous folder, an unassuming bank statement caught my eye, detailing a trust of $12 million designated solely for nepotism, an unapologetic reminder of how they had meticulously overlooked my contributions while celebrating the successes of my siblings. My heart sank in horror as betrayal, venom coursing through every vein, overwhelmed me. It was not merely an emotional betrayal. It was a financial scheme intricately orchestrated by those I had once held closest, my very own blood, my kin. Unbeknownst to many, the architect behind this heart-wrenching betrayal was none other than my brother Jacob, the golden boy of our family. To the world, he was the epitome of the dutiful son, the heir apparent enthralled with charm, woven seamlessly into the fabric of our family's narrative. But I knew him better than anyone. Beneath his practiced exterior lay a calculating disposition, a sinister intent aimed at erasing my very existence from the family's illustrious portrait. I had trusted him, confiding in him my deepest aspirations, dreams, and doubts, believing he stood beside me as a loyal ally, only to realize he had transformed himself into my executioner, wielding the weapon of silence with deadly precision and intent. With damning proof clutched tightly in my hands, the thought of confronting my family loomed before me like a specter eager to collect its due. Faced with the weight of their domineering presence, I felt utterly insurmountable, yet I knew within that I had to expose the truth. I chose the annual family gala for my revelation, an illustrious event where the crème de la crème of society mingled, rubbing shoulders with the powerful and affluent, a splendid venue to unveil the deceit that had lay hidden in the shadows. How glorious it would be to drag the buried secrets into the light, allowing them to breathe and wither under the scrutiny of truth. As I ascended the stage, the warm glow of crystal chandeliers enveloped my form, illuminating my designer gown with an ethereal light akin to stars glimmering in the night sky that flickered with the weight of hope and anticipation. Each nook of the room filled with the gaze of distinguished guests, creating a cacophony of whispered expectations, swirling around me like a tempest, forming an electric charge that electrified the very air we breathed. "Ladies and gentlemen," I began, my heart pounding fiercely with a mix of trepidation and newfound resolve. Tonight, this moment isn't merely about our wealth or legacy. It is fundamentally about truth, a truth that demands to be recognized, no matter how uncomfortable it may be. With a deliberate movement, I revealed the bank statement, the existence of the trust pulsing between us like an unspoken horror, an undeniable truth that had been conveniently silenced until this very moment. Gasps echoed throughout the lavish space, each ripple resonating deeper than the chime of clinking. Champagne glasses, an outcry of exposed betrayal vibrating through the hearts of those who had always taken more than they had ever wished to give, who had feasted on the abundance of our shared fortune while turning a blind eye to the sacrifices made and the emotional toll it exacted. In the aftermath of that fateful night, a stunning spiral of revelation struck my family, a tidal wave that threatened to unravel the very fabric of our well-crafted lives. Silence enveloped the room as I watched, transfixed, Jacob's complexion drained of color, a storm brewing beneath the placid surface of his usually composed facade, the very embodiment of a man crumbling under the weight of his deceit. Our once vibrant room, alive with laughter, celebration, and a sense of invincibility, transformed into a grim courtroom of judgment, illuminating the stark truths hidden beneath our lives of luxury, splendor, and intoxicating ambition. In the wake of my brave revelation, I learned a profound lesson about the duality of power and wealth. Both are double-edged swords, capable of elevating us to unimaginable heights while simultaneously severing the most precious ties that bind us to one another: our family. As I sat in contemplative solitude, I began to ponder the fragility of our bonds, those delicate threads stitched together by nothing more than mere monetary value. While I had amassed a considerable fortune, the sting of loss resonated within me sharper than any pointed edge. I had relinquished something of immeasurable worth, a connection that had once anchored my spirit amid times of overwhelming uncertainty and despair. Standing amid the dimly lit aftermath of revelation, where shadows danced and laughter morphed into whispers of uncertainty, I took time to reflect on the arduous journey that had led me to this deeply solemn moment. The hard lessons learned, the countless sacrifices made along the way, and the daunting truth that family, rather than being an unbreakable bond, can often become a source of deep pain when hijacked by greed and envy. For all my achievements and amassed wealth, I realized I was compelled not only to seek the possibility of rebuilding relationships within my family, but also to rediscover the essence of who I truly am and the values I represent amidst the fallout of betrayal. With newfound conviction tingling in my voice, I turned back to the astonished audience. As we gather around and dine tonight, let us draw back the curtain and confront ourselves with a profound question. What do we truly value? Wealth or connection? Trust or deception? Power or love? I paused, allowing the weight of silence to envelop the room, a fragile veil of understanding settling gently among us. My words hung thickly in the air like mist, yet the atmosphere bristled with vulnerability and anticipation as we prepared to reckon with the rippling consequences of deceit, a reckoning no one could escape. As I glanced into the eyes of my family and the assembled guests around me, an overwhelming tide of emotions crashed through me. Grief for the frayed ties we had allowed to unravel, anger at the betrayal uncovered, and a flicker of fragile hope amidst the chaos. Perhaps, in the end, our legacies are not defined by the riches we acquire, but by the narratives we share and the truths we face together as a family. In that profound moment of clarity, I inhaled deeply, whispers flowing from my lips as I spoke to myself, holding fast to the belief that the ties that bind us could be reforged. What story will you write at your own family table? Time will unveil our paths, shaping us each day. Each decision leads us closer to revelation, shaping not only our futures, but redefining our legacies, not in gold, but in shared experiences, honesty, empathy, and profound connections. This was merely the commencement of a transformative journey, one that would mend wounds, heal scars, and reshape the very fabric of our kinship. There would be no turning back, for in our embrace of vulnerability, we could finally cultivate something far more valuable than wealth, an unbreakable bond forged through the light of truth and the warmth found only in empathy and mutual understanding. This was the dawn of our new beginning. Together, we would write our story anew, learning to navigate the intricate tapestry of love, trust, and everlasting connection. The dinner that night would be more than just a meal. It would be the first step toward rebuilding, a collective propulsion into a future that prioritized connection over competition, love over envy, and hope over despair, a new chapter crafted not from gilded expectations, but from heartfelt honesty and the pursuit of understanding.